So with that, what quando watu segon sa wego tunong hidaze nunjats. Welcome. Um, Hello to everybody. I'm Brent Tien, Vice Chief of Mohawk Council of Ganastauge. Bienvenue et bonjour. Je suis Vice Chef Brent Tien. So today, this is our third meeting on the engagement on the future of the pines. There's a lot of familiar faces here. We have our team here. We have members from Eco Corridor Laurentian. They're an organization that will be working with us in this project, and members from our legal department, Dion Schultz. They're here because they can provide better background and information on certain topics that come up during these discussions. Um, Once again, welcome everybody. If you have any questions, please feel free to use the chat box. Our communications officer will be monitoring this, and we'll take a few moments. I think we'll take a. We did them all at the end last time. I think maybe at the end of each presentation, there'll be two presentations, one by yourself by the MCK and one by Eco Corridor Laurentian. We'll do a little break to answer any questions in the chat box after each one. Okay. So, other than that, let's get started. So, what are we here about? We're here to talk about a section of the Pines. This section, if you look at the little map on the laptop we have displayed here, where I'm running my mouse right here, there's a red line. That's pretty much l'Annonciation. That comes up from Oka and passes by the ball field right here and passes by the health center farm over here. This section of the Pines outlined here is what we're discussing. Um, it stretches from just south of the health center farm to essentially the borders of the new development of Oka, and just above Avenue de Pain or Rue de Pinade, whatever. I don't know what the name is for the Oka streets and everything like that, but it's something like de Pain. Um, so that's the area, and obviously these lines, the yellow lines, trace the locations and paths of larger trails that go throughout the area in discussion, and the green ones and purple one are some smaller trails. Um, Actually, I think the purple one might be a gully, if I remember correctly. Um, for anybody that lives here and everything, we know that the pines are more than just trees. They're culturally, historically, and environmentally important. For generations, Ganastaugalonu have used the land for various things, gathering medicinal plants and herbs, growing and storing food. Back in our day, like back in our great grandparents' day. Still to this day, people use them for cultural practices and ceremonies. We use the pines in general for community gatherings and recreation and for a connection to the land. You know, we're lucky that we have still access to this area here. It's what I like to say is, when you're walking through this, we know this was an intentionally planted forest in order to stop the sands from washing down into the town and everything like that. But this forest is over 150 years old. So, when we walk through this, we're walking through the same made environment our ancestors, our, great grandparents walked through. We're experiencing the same environment. A lot of times hopefully some of the same trees, the same plants, the same noises, sounds, and smells that they did in the same way they did. That's you know I don't. think I have to go too far in how important that is as a connection, not just to the land, but to our past as a people that have lived here for time immemorial, even beyond, yeah, time immemorial. So the pines are also a mature and sensitive ecosystem, home to many plants and animal species. Um, yeah. So why are we here and why now? So an opportunity has emerged to protect the pines for the long term. Um, since 2003, the land was bought and under private ownership. The current owner under colonial law expressed a willingness to transfer the land to Conestoga for conservation starting in 2019. Um, it unfortunately something like this isn't a simple matter for various reasons. There are a bunch of obstacles that come up whenever we deal with the possibility of getting our land back and everything. Each different route and everything to achieve this has its own obstacles. For this one, you know, right now, the community is under financial and legal pressures, including debt to a creditor. What this makes is a legal risk. Uh, a legal Yeah, there is a risk of legal action linked to ownership that would put the land under threat to be seized. Um, Essentially, what happens is, um, with any of the options where land could be returned to Conestoga, um, in ones where there aren't precautions taken in order to protect the land and have it added to our land base so that it's protected by our 9124 rights, there is a risk that it's open to creditors to put a lien against and possibly seize. This isn't a theoretical. It's something that's happened before and everything like that. It's a whole thing. So that's something we definitely don't want. It kind of defeats the purpose of getting land back and having a creditor come and seize it. Also, the land under different forms, like say, people tend to ask the question like, well, you know, why can't we just go out and buy it outright? Well, that would still be working. The land would be working under the mechanisms of, the outside government. And because of that, because it hasn't been added to our land base and protected, it would still be considered private fee simple land and thereby taxable. We'd essentially be paying Oka municipality taxes on it. I know that's not something, I find particularly palpable. I know a lot of people would feel the same way and everything like that. So it's a reason to try to find alternative possibilities. And overall, what the question that asked is, well, this is part of our land claim. It's unsorted, unceded land and everything. Why are we doing this? If we might just, why don't we just go through the land claim process? So, unfortunately, the land claim process is pretty long. And in our situation, there are a few complexities that were mentioned in uh, previous engagements. There's a whole process that takes many many years. Some things like having the crown's notaries having to look at this and at the land situation. They have a backup of like a year and a half just on there. So like just on one step, we know it'd take like a year and a half before that step even gets to that point. And just the land claim process itself doesn't always result in the return of land. So, relying on that process only doesn't guarantee the return of land for the explicit use and benefit of the Mohawks of Conestoga in the same way this proposed process would. So all of these things and everything create complex situations that need to be addressed carefully and as soon as possible. So what's the role of the council? So this work began in 2019. The caretaker council has a duty to keep progress on ongoing files going. Um, Council is only facilitating the process, not making unilateral decisions. Council has an obligation to work within legal and financial realities until land claims are resolved, and the community's involvement is necessary to decide on a way forward for the protection of the pines. I think I described it last time as right now. Uh, so from about 2019, well, from about 2019 to now, we are in a sort of information gathering process. From 2019, we were in a state of, well, how do we go about what does this mean having the land transferred through an ecological gift program? It took time to understand um, the legal ramifications of this, what it entails and everything, the meanings, the vulnerabilities, and the benefits. And then not just for us, not just for Conestoga, but also for Eco Corridors Laurentian. When we were made aware of them and that they would be interested in working with us, they had to do research on their end as well to determine if the particular situation in Conestoga and this land and the ecological gift program fit within their mandate, and if what the um broad direction council saw things moving in, not like the it's not the divine path, but things can only go a certain way when things happen. So like we said, okay, this is the scope and everything. They had to figure out if it's something they can work on, if it fits within their mandate, if there were any issues that they had to be aware of. So that took time. And now we on both sides we've kind of come to the conclusion that yes, this is something possible that has concrete benefits, is within the realm of possibility and within the mandates of everybody. So now we're both the MCK and Eco Corridor Laurentian is bringing this to community as the next step of information gathering for the community members. So hopefully with this and any questions people have and everything, we can share the information we've come as we've come to understand the situation, so that community members better understand their role. This isn't like a consultation where, like, it's just a box being ticked off or anything like that. This is like, you know if you want to learn something, you gotta go out and get the information, and that's what we're doing. We're trying to bring the information to the best of our ability, and and to the community, to people that want to um, know more and take the time to work on this with us. So, what is being explored? So this the option is a land transfer for conservation. So the owner proposed having the land transfer through an ecological gifts program. This would mean the land would be protected permanently, but there are clear rules that must be set about what activities are allowed, and certain types of developments or use would be restricted. That's just a byproduct of this program through which the land could be donated. It's not like it wouldn't be anything ridiculous like, well, only people with um, a C as the third letter in their name can attend on Tuesdays, and then you cross-reference it with blah 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 on every other day. No, it's not. It's nothing ridiculous like that. It's just like, if you're serious about conserving land ecologically and everything, obviously you're not going to open it up to commercial development and stuff like that. You're not going to allow things to take place that damage the environment or degrade it or anything like that. That's the type of rules that are part of this program. So the other thing is the Indigenous Protected and Conserved Area, IPCA. This is a model of land protection based on indigenous values. This will allow protection of the land for future generations, continued cultural and traditional use, and community-defined rules for land use. So that would all be based on, what Ganasadaga decides and everything. Um, within some parameters. We can't honestly say we're here to protect the land for future generations and then dump a whole bunch of toxic material there or anything like that. That's a contradiction. That's a contradiction. So obviously that type of thing wouldn't happen. But I don't think anybody seriously in a good mind proposes those things. Um, Okay. So the potential partnership, because of the legal and financial realities, MCK is exploring a partnership model with Eco Corridors Laurentian. Why are we considering this? Mainly to help manage the legal and technical aspects of the land transfer. They have experience doing this type of thing in other contexts. So they know the legal reality of this. They know like how to do things regarding this. Then to support ecological restoration and rehabilitation. Um, they have expertise in ecological matters and everything like this. Nope. The uh yes. So sorry about that. So to yeah, sorry. Okay, so to support ecological restoration and rehabilitation. Um, so they have expertise in this and everything. Like they've already done a walkthrough of the area, and you'll see in their section and everything like that. They bring to light some very interesting facts about the area. Um, then part of the partnership is to reduce financial risks and liabilities. Like we said, if the land was donated directly to Ganasnaga, there would be a risk that it could be annexed by a creditor. By going into a partnership with third party like Eco Corridor Laurentians, that removes that liability. So the land would still be there for the use and benefit and use of the Mohawks of Ganasdaga and being protected until such time as it could be added to the land base and then get the full protection. Yeah, and then to help protect the land from taxation and external pressures. I think a big part of this is by partnering with Eco Corridor Laurentian and everything. If there were parties that attempted to do unregulated development, contamination, or extractive processes on the land there. They have access to legal and security measures that unfortunately we don't. So that's another benefit. Like they can actually um, enforce the protection of the land on our behalf. So important. No agreement has been signed. The goal is to protect the land while keeping the community voice central. Like I said, the express purpose is to make the land uh, there for the use and benefit of the Mohawks of Ganasdaga. So why not just take the land back? Um, some people don't like the idea of receiving the land as a gift since it already belongs to us. Like I said, there are real factors and threats that limit the options. The colonial legal system recognizes the land as private property. So the current owner and everything would still be able to, have police come and remove people if we just tried to occupy it and everything like that. And, I think considering that they are making a genuine attempt to return it to us in, a you know mutually beneficial matter and everything like that, I think that shows a little bit of lack of grace on our part. Um, but then, the other options are, as I said, the land claims are progressing slowly, and there's no guarantee that they always result in land back. So this option's there, and it's explicitly to return the land to us. As I said, the debts and creditor risk are attached to a land, would still be attached to a land if somehow the occupation resulted in the direct transfer of the land to the Mohawks of Ganastauga without being added to the land base and getting the 91/24% protection. It would still be vulnerable. And taking ownership directly exposes the community to financial liability. Um, you know, um, if somebody goes and grabs the land and everything, contaminates it, and then just dumps it on our doorstep, ownership, uh, they're not going to pay the bill to clean it up and, make it uh, usable for us and everything. So it comes to community funding that has to be spent to make it like usable again if people are allowed to just take it, so the most important thing is to protect the land, to avoid financial risks, and maintain community involvement. That's generally what the guiding lights are, and to make sure that any unregulated development doesn't happen. So, what decisions need to be made for the land to be protected? Clear rules have to be defined. What activities should be allowed? I said like it doesn't make sense to say the land is ecologically sensitive and sacred, and then open it up to a strip mall or something. What activities should be restricted or not allowed? Are there any? I don't. What are the cultural and traditional activities? Are there any recreational activities, land management, infrastructure ability activities that should or shouldn't be allowed on the land? This is something we need to hear from people. We already have, I think, two sets of data and everything from surveys that people have submitted. I think that went out a little while ago in the mail, and I think there's a posting on Facebook and possibly the Conestoga web page detailing or giving an outline of what we were told. So the whole point of this is to protect the pines for future generations, to define how the land will be used, and to ensure decisions reflect community values. Okay. So, maybe at this point, then, I'll hand it off to our guests and friends at Eco Corridor Laurentian for their segment.
Great. Thank you, Chief Etienne. Can you hear me right?
Yep, amazingly.
Great. Let me share my screen. Once. So, good evening, everyone. Thank you for welcoming us today. My name is Marie-Lynne, and I'm the Executive Director of Eco Corridor Laurentien. I'm here today with my colleagues Erika and Cassandre. We're grateful to be here to introduce our organization, and most importantly, to listen and learn more about your priorities, your relationship with the territory, and how our work may or may not be useful in support of your vision for the land. So I will talk about who we are. I'll talk about our collaborative approach, about what we do. I'll cover the ecological assessment of the pines. I'll talk about the infrastructures, and I'll conclude with the risks to biodiversity. So, Eco Corridor Laurentien. We are a team mostly of biologists, and we're an independent non-profit organization dedicated to conserving natural environments and protecting ecological corridors in the Laurentians in close collaboration with organizations, institutions, and citizens. Our vision is to connect Kanesatake to Mont-Tremblant through a network of interconnected ecological corridors and protected areas spanning the Laurentian region. So we work on ecological connectivity because it's very important for biodiversity, but also for humans. So ecological connectivity means that natural areas remain linked to each other rather than being separated into isolated fragments. It allows wildlife, plants, water, and ecological processes to move across the landscape. It helps ecosystems stay healthy, resilient, and able to adapt to climate change. And so it protects the relationships between the forests, wetlands, rivers, lakes, mountains, and communities. And so ecological connectivity is really important, not only for biodiversity, but as I said previously, also for clean water, for climate resilience, for access to nature, for cultural values, and for the well-being of present and future generations. Here on the left, you can see our ecological network between Canet-Setaghe and Mont-Tremblant. In dark green, the conservation cores, which I like to compare to the last big natural homes for wildlife. And in light green, you have the corridors. And so the corridors, they connect the large homes for wildlife and thus act as links to help wildlife move from one core to the other. So we work with multiple partners. We work with universities, with RCMs, with cities, with municipalities, indigenous and non-indigenous governments, farmers and forestry producers, indigenous and non-indigenous communities, as well as citizen groups, nonprofit organizations in the environmental, and as well as in the recreational tourism sectors. Collaboration is at the heart of our work. We act as a regional partner and facilitator. Our role is to bring together people, knowledge, tools, and resources to support conservation initiatives that are meaningful for the territory and for the communities connected to it. Our collaborations are based on collective goals, shared strategies and priorities, an open dialogue, and decision-making structures that support equity and collaboration. For us, collaboration is about developing meaningful relationships, mutual understanding, and most importantly, the trust needed to address environmental challenges together. So here's a little overview of what we do. We're involved in restoration projects, mostly in Mirabel, and Sainte-Sophie, where we work with farmers to reforest shorelines and increase ecological connectivity. For example, in 2024, we reforested 3.1 kilometers of shorelines, and last year we planted approximately 3,000 trees. We also carry out road mortality surveys, mostly for endangered turtle species, but we record all dead animals observed. For example, we had more than 230 road mortality surveys last year that were done on Road 170 near Mont-Tremblant, and we found more than 2,000 dead animals on that road. This helps us to after work with the Ministry of Transport to find solutions, for example, to build wildlife passages so that wildlife can cross roads safely. We also do wildlife monitoring through camera traps. For example, we have been monitoring the Ivry-sur-le-Lac wildlife crossing for 7 years now, and while doing so, we have observed more than 15 species using that crossing. Okay, multitasking, sorry. So protect We also protect and steward natural habitat. We play a supporting and facilitating role in the creation of protected areas where we accompany local communities in the protection and stewardship of natural habitats. By doing so, we always prioritize local leadership and community-led conservation approaches, ensuring that protection efforts reflect the needs, priorities, and aspirations of the communities connected to the land. We only directly intervene to protect and steward land as a last resort when it's identified as necessary to secure long-term protection. We always see ourselves as a temporary solution. If we do take on that role, any acquisition or stewardship must be aligned with the expressed will and the priorities of the local communities. So I will now speak of the ecological value of this part of the pines based on studies conducted by Terra Humana and Ecocorridor Laurentien. Of course, most of it you probably already know, and it's not new information for you. And of course, you know this land in many, many, many ways that we do not. So as you know, this forest was originally planted to stabilize the sand and prevent it from spreading into the village. And it still continues to play that role today. Since then, it has become a diverse old forest that creates habitat and supports biodiversity. There's also the Raisin Creek that runs through the forest before flowing into the lake, creating small riverside wetlands that are fed by seasonal flooding. This forest is also part of the broader ecological network that I presented before, and it contributes to habitat connectivity by linking natural areas and supporting the movement of wildlife, plants, water, and ecological processes across the landscape. In total, more than 800 plant and animal species have been identified in the study area, including 49 plant species, 4 moss species, 11 wildlife species that are at risk. And here on this slide, you have an overview of some of the species that have been observed. They're not all necessarily at risk. So more than 320 plant and tree species have been observed, including the butternut walnut and the black ash, as well as the northern maidenhair fern, the ostrich fern, and the cursed buttercup. There were also more than 50 bird species that have been observed or heard on site, including the red-shouldered hawk, the broad-winged hawk, and the barred owl. Up to 3 bat species have been either observed or heard on site, including the little brown myotis, as well as the big brown bat, and more than 7 amphibian and reptile species have been observed, including 5 frog species, the spring peeper, the great tree frog, the wood frog, the northern leopard frog, the green frog, as well as 2 salamander species, the northern two-lined salamander, as well as the red-backed salamander. In the discussion and reflection of the future of this part of the pines, it's also important to know what uses and infrastructures are currently present on site. So during our visit of the this part of the pines, we mapped a road with rights of way that you can see here in red on this side, yeah. We also saw a bridge and a network of existing trails, as you can see on the map here. Finally, we also observed some risks to biodiversity. The pines are an exceptional ecosystem, but there's several risks that are still present, including multiple unmarked access points and trails, some erosion hotspots, one you can see here in the picture on the top, There's also the presence of ATVs that cause erosion and that with the traffic can damage the roots, as well as egg masses and tadpoles, especially near the river. There's the presence of litter, also some open fires in areas that are at risk of wildfire. And finally, some invasive exotic species, the buckthorn and Phragmites, as well as some tree health risks. So the beech bark disease, the walnut blight, as well as the woolly adelgid that attacks the hemlocks. So in conclusion, Ecocorridor Laurentien is not a developer, and we do not acquire land for profit. We have no interest in owning land. We have no particular interest in managing land. And if ICL becomes involved in land protection and stewardship, it's only as a temporary or last resort solution to secure conservation outcomes. Our preferred approach is always to support local leadership, local stewardship, and autonomous community-led conservation. That's it for my part.
Amazing. Thank you very much. Okay, so I think we'll move on to the next part. What we heard. One second. Okay. So, things we'd like you and the community at large to consider from these discussions is how do you use the pines? What activities should be allowed in the pines? What activities should not be allowed in the pines? Are there activities that should be allowed but with clear limits or conditions? What is your vision for conservation and protection of this area? What matters most to you in protecting the pines? Regarding the potential partnership with eco corridors, what would you help pardon? What would help you feel more confident in this process? Do you have any concerns about the future of the pines? And have you observed any concerning areas, situations, or behaviors in the pines? Any specific areas? Um, yeah. Okay. So, okay, we'll go on to the next thing. This is the feedback we received so far. So regarding the community's vision for the Pines, we've heard that ceremonies could involve large but respectful gatherings with a small fire uh, that is then extinguished by water and earth. I'm guessing to make sure that there's no embers on anything that could relight or anything smoldering. So the entire area being protected by environmental staff who monitor it daily, ensuring it survives for future generations. Totally agree. Um, that would require, yeah, workforce and everything like that. We already do have a little bit um, of that starting with the KPS monitoring the mountain and everything, but for something like this, I think it would require quite a bit more resources, both human and material. Regarding the community's vision for the pine, respect for what was fought for by our community. No non-locals or illegal businesses should be allowed. Yeah, totally agree on the businesses part. For the pines to become a heritage area, so much of Gunstoga history is bound with the pines. Yeah, like as we said and everything, there's the history of our lifetimes and then the lifetimes of our grandparents and everything. Like I mentioned, when we walk through there, we're walking in like a small, remnant of what our ancestors did and everything. Like we have we have the privilege to hopefully experience the same thing that they experienced in the same way they experienced. That's I think that's special. This it people community's vision for the Pines should be a teaching area with historical info made available throughout the area. Yep, I yeah, totally agree and everything like that. I think there was a program in the village maybe 2 years ago and everything, where there were plaques set up with historical information and everything like that, having something maybe a bit more robust and durable and everything set up either at the entrances or something like that, or some spots and everything wouldn't be a bad idea. Regarding the community's vision for the Pines, we should put laws together, introduce laws and consequences. I am fully in favor of that. Yep. They should be preserved for all future generations. There should be replanting, evaluating the health of the trees, educating the community on the meaning of the pines and whatnot. I think replanting and evaluating the health is a low key necessity. Both Eco Corridor Laurentians and another group that came to council, and I'm sure some people are already aware of. The pines, by virtue of being an artificially planted forest by humans, because they're all planted at the same time, the trees are, trees have a lifespan. They're not immortal. So as we see and everything, a lot of the trees are getting old and dying off at the same time. We don't want to sit by twiddling our thumbs, and then one spring it turns out that a large portion of the forest has fallen down and been destroyed and everything like that. Like, we might actually have to, we act well, not might, we do have gonna still going to have to make a decision on what the vision um is for the pines. Is it, supposed to stay only as a pine forest, which is an unnatural state actually, or should there be some cultivation and everything like that, selective cutting and planting and everything to keep it as a pine forest? Or do we actually see value in letting nature take its course, with some human help and everything like that, and allow the forest itself to progress through its lifespan from like a purely pine coniferous forest into what would eventually be like a deciduous forest, like more maples and oaks and all that stuff eventually. These are things we actually have to decide on. Um, Another thing we've heard so far is regarding the concerns on a potential eco corridors partnership. Uh, People want clear information on agreements before decisions are made. Wholeheartedly agree. That's why we're here. That's what, like we said and everything. This is an information gathering phase that we're all in. Both MCK and Eco Corridor Laurentian. I've spent quite a bit of time trying to gather the information and understanding of what's going on, and we're bringing that to the community so people can make an informed decision. Um, I guess some of the concerns on a potential partnership with Eco Corridor, maybe experts must include our own experts, and having our own people with the expertise be hired. 100% agree. As Eco Corridor said, their desired mode of operating is with support, as support to the community. They wouldn't be the ones here, 365 days a year and everything like that. Looking under every rock, looking for every toad and everything like that. It's our people that should be doing that work, learning and everything, and actually going there and doing it. And if there's, something exceptional that has to be dealt with that we don't have the resources to deal with, well, we can look to our friends at Eco Corridor Lawrence to help us with that and everything. But it should be Gunstallone dealing with this. So yeah, totally agree with that. So regarding concerns in general, I guess some people would be concerned about not being allowed to harvest medicine. Yeah, fair concern. I don't think that should be a case. I mean, maybe if it's like the last of a plant and everything like that, and somebody tries to go and picking it, saying, it's for medicine and everything like that. That kind of goes against some of the teachings where you're supposed to leave stuff behind so that there's more to propagate and everything like that. But I generally don't think responsible harvesting should be a problem. Um, and then I guess some concerns would be the area is much larger. The larger area has been destroyed and continually developed by the village of Voka. Yeah, I agree. This is only part of the small common. Um, the rest of everything that's part of the small common land claim and then the large commons and everything like that, unfortunately is outside the scope of this. It doesn't mean it's not important. It doesn't mean it's not something being looked at and um, you know, uh, that the small common land claim has been abandoned. No, it's just that this is an opportunity that came forward uh, parallel to the land claims process that, has the explicit intent of returning lands to the Mohawks of Ganastauga for the use and benefit of the Mohawks of Ganastauga. So, it's not one or the other in this case. I think it's the land claim for the small common and the large commons is still going to be there at the end of the day, whether we go through with this ecological grant or not. This is just one way that we can get one part of that small common definitely back to us. I don't see a downside in that personally. So I guess some of other people's concerns might be losing what matters most to our community and culture for members who only care about financial gain. Yep, we're seeing that along the 344. I can't argue that. Some other people might be concerned about control of invasive species to protect the natural ecosystem, maintaining trails so the community can use them, and making sure large fires cannot be made or left unattended. Yeah, I'll actually have two comments on this. Yeah, from Mary Lynn's Serious and Everything, she mentioned buckthorn. That's an invasive species I have the distinct displeasure of having too much experience with. That thing grows wild, and when you go to cut it, it's terrible to deal with. They have massive thorns, and there's some sort of powder right underneath the bark that tends to get in every crack of your hands and limbs everywhere along your neck, and just gets itchy and scratchy and hurts, and you can't get away from it when you're clearing that stuff out, and it's everywhere. That is an invasive species I would not mind making extinct here. It has its place in the world, just not here. And then maintaining trails and everything so the community can use them. Um, there's an interesting little fact, you know, I came across and everything. It's from the Amazon forest and everything. So in the Amazon itself, the forest is under threat from a lot of uh, clear cutting, whether it's for timber or for agricultural uses, like sugar, I think palm oil or something like that. But how it kind of starts is with roads. Essentially, roads are the enemy. The more paths, things start out as footpaths and everything for people to enter into a wooded area. They start cutting and extracting. Those paths get bigger to where they can bring in like four wheelers and four by fours, side by sides, small tractors, and that increases the amount of extraction from the territory. Then the roads get even bigger to the point where you can start bringing in heavier things like, uh, heavy tractors and vehicles, and then eventually you start to get dedicated roads and everything where it's like logging roads and then paved roads and everything like that. So it's like you know a trickle becomes a stream, becomes a creek, becomes a river becomes an ocean. So like we may not looking at those paths and everything like within our lifetime we could probably look at them too, like they may not have been as large as they used to be, but over time If you let them continue to expand, they will expand. So that's something I think we have to look at as well, and everything like should all of the paths remain, and or should there be some spots that are uh, explicitly marked as, well, you know what, unless you have something to do in there like picking medicine or clearing out invasive species or like doing controlled maintenance and everything like that, like just leave it alone and everything, like it's there to look at and stuff like that. It's there. Maybe it's not for us alone as as people to enjoy, but maybe that area is more for like our relations, all the animals and birds and everything like that. That's their home. Maybe we shouldn't go trotting through that all the time, you know. I guess another concern in general is efforts should be made to include this area in the official territory of Gunstog, even if the process is long. 100% agree. That's why we're here today. And then erosion, the health of trees, many trees have fallen. Yep. All of that stuff has to be dealt with. Also, regarding activities that should not be allowed, people felt large gathering and events shouldn't be allowed. Construction, commercial use of resources, totally agree. Tree cutting without a plan, totally agree, shouldn't be a thing. Dog on leashes at all time, clean up after dogs. Yeah, yeah, it's unpleasant when you're out on a walk and, step in somewhat it follows you around for a bit and it's unpleasant. Some people feel maybe anything with motors, ATVs creating havoc on the trails, destroying roots and medicines. Yep, totally agree. These are things we have to watch out for and decide on what we want to do about them. So moving on, comments on concerning behavior in the pines. So what you want to get to is in the area used by the influx of drug and alcohol users, the destruction of the pines area by community members, drug needles are found, used condoms are found. All these things have been found in the playground. Facts. Yep, yep. These are facts. Non-locals polluting, non-locals use the cross box road to roam through our community, non-locals disrespect their community and its members. Yep. That's why it's important that our KPS is functioning and everything. At least there's somebody there that elders and everyone can call on when that stuff happens. It's all so also it's always been a concern for the future of the pines and not only for the mapped area. How can we just talk about one area when the roots of those trees are intertwined and hold together? The roads that pass between the areas don't exist. We must protect all in its entirety. Our people have destroyed a part, but we must protect the rest of the trees. Yeah, I agree. You can't, I would say, you know, you can't wait um, until there's nothing stopping us from protecting this portion right now, so that while we're putting things in place to protect the rest of it, this one doesn't meet the same fate as the rest of it. It's not a zero sum game. You put your cards in order the best you can. You play the hand you're dealt with at times. It's unfortunate, but that's the situation we're in. So already signs are going up with private property. It doesn't even belong to them. This must be addressed. Yep, seeing some of that. Sections of the path by the creek are severely washed out, making it hard to access the other side. ATVs drive fast without regard for people walking. Garbage is often left along paths and around fire pits. ATVs ripping up topsoil, erosion, people disrespecting the area, trash left on the ground, needles, bottles. Somebody said, I don't want to see any more land stolen for personal gain. It belongs to the community and the future generations. Um, Somebody said, Hydro-Quebec marked trees to be cut. Will they replace or replant? Who will take the wood? We could ask for the trees to be cut at least 8 feet so they can be used to build a wooden structure to be decided by the people. Let's not let them go to waste. I'm not sure where that is. But okay, I'll take them at their word. Four-wheelers, trucks, dirt bikes using and damaging the paths, and the area is a mess. Some cleanup along the highway at the lacrosse box cemetery needs to be done. The baseball area needs to be cleaned as well. Show we care. Yep, totally agree. So, since the April 30th engagement session, the following questions were raised. What protections would exist to prevent exploitation or inappropriate outside influence on the land? A potential partnership with Eco Corridor would involve a contract to include such protections. And then what are the legal and financial implications of using the ecological gift program compared to other options? Other options are one, buy back land somehow. I think, as we mentioned before, land will then immediately become in danger of being seized by creditors and will be subject to municipal taxes. Two, go through the process of adding to land to existing land base until conclusion of this process several years, the land will be in danger of being seized and subject to municipal taxes. I think that was mentioned before as well. None of these options include any sort of measures either, keeping the land at risk of occupation, unsanctioned development, and exploitation. Yeah, I think that's stuff we mentioned before and everything like that. Um, yeah, the beauty of this arrangement is it really does put some, you know, it allows the land to come back to us, um, and have the protection. It's kind of the best of both worlds, until we can get that final addition to land and the 9124 protection in place. Is this the same one? No. Okay. So during and after the April 30th engagement session, the following questions were raised. What exactly was included in the 2019 Declaration of Mutual Understanding and Agreement? So one recognizes that we never give up or surrender our claim to our ancestral lands, acknowledging the actions of the Crown and Sulpicians who transferred the lands that should have never been taken from us. Two, is stated that Mr. Golan agrees to work collaboratively with the MCK to begin the process of transferring about 60 hectares of forested land through the Ecological Gift Program, meaning that the land would be protected permanently as a natural area rather than developed. Three, it stated that Mr. Golan was willing to make other vacant land lots he owned, about 150 hectares, available for possible transfer discussions with the support of the federal government. Four states that the following as the foundation for good faith collaborations: that the Mohawks of Ganastage do not give up any Aboriginal rights, titles, claims, or legal positions by signing this agreement, that Canada's obligations remain unchanged, and that the agreement does not weaken or deny claims to unceded lands. So yeah, that's yeah, essentially yeah, the gist of what the 2019 MOU stated. We know there are multiple questions about that, or yeah, multiple assertions of questions about that. So, the following questions were also raised, but are matters that need to be determined in the future with the community's input. Um, so yeah, these are essentially, these are all valid questions, but we're simply not yet there yet to answer this. Like we said earlier, we're MCK and Eco Corridor Laurentian were in a fact finding, information gathering mode, and now that's what we're bringing to the community so that the community can go into its own information gathering mode. So questions like, once rules for land use are established, who would enforce them and how would enforcement occur? That would naturally be part of a final agreement. Um, that's not something that's decided upon beforehand and everything. So yeah, that would be part of the final agreement. As part of developing the final agreement, we'd have to determine all of this stuff, but that's further down the path. What governance structure would oversee the protect areas or IPC model? What mechanisms would ensure accountability, transparency, and community oversight moving forward? How would community consultation results be collected, validated, and incorporated in decision making? And how would long-term stewardship responsibilities be shared between MCK community members and any potential partner organizations? Like we said, all valid questions. It's just we're not there yet. Like this is stuff that these types of questions actually make up the meat of what a I guess a contract negotiation would be. So we're not at that point yet. You know, there might be vague ideas and everything, or general conceptions of what they might look like and everything like that, but all of that stuff, doesn't hold much water until we actually get to that point. So there are things that we have to keep an eye on and everything and consider for the future and everything like that, but those decisions don't have to be made today, because it'd be premature. So I think that's it for the presentation, or at least the slide. Sterling had a question: what legal benefits and security benefits does Eco Corridor provide? Um, so what time is it? 7:10? Okay, so you were responding a moment ago. So what was your question addressed properly, or would you want someone to elaborate on this specifically? An elaboration of how they can provide legal benefits and security benefits. What exactly would they do if called upon? Um, I think it might be useful to narrow down, or okay, Nick's coming. Oh, a wild Nick has appeared. Okay, so maybe it might be easier to think about to look at this in a concrete example. So let's say the land was the land went through the eco corridors, the eco gift program, and with eco corridors and everything came back to us in a contract and everything, and then somebody tried to do some unregulated development. What legal protections would this provide? I'll allow Nick to opine on this since he popped up.
Sure. Thanks, Brent. So, as I think folks here know, right, and as referred to in some of the slides that Chief Etienne just went through, there has been a problem in Ganasatage with people taking lands for themselves and cutting down trees and building, houses or businesses. And there's, whether it's true or not, there's a sense that council is powerless to stop that, right? That's the kind of the idea that's taken hold. And so when there's an intermediary involved, it takes away, first of all, that kind of idea that there's no one involved. Also, it gives them access to tools that are not necessarily at council's disposal right now. So for example, as you know, the SQ doesn't really respond to or responds very late often to calls in Ganasatage. But if that call is coming from a non-Indigenous entity for land that hasn't yet been added to the land base, I think we can expect that there would be much more prompt response and engagement with the issues. So that's one of the things. Also, no one would be coming, not the municipality of Oka would not be coming and knocking at council's door for the payment of municipal taxes, which, as nobody in Ganasatagi wants to be paying municipal taxes to Oka, but if the land's not part of the land base, those taxes are owed. And under the provincial law, if taxes are owed on a property and not paid, the municipality can eventually go into, issue foreclosure proceedings and try and take the land away as payment for those taxes. So that protects the community from that potential as well. I could go on, but I think that's a couple good examples.
Thank you very much, Nick. Did you have a was that pretty good, Sterling? Do you have any other questions regarding that or want any clarifications? You want me to respond? Awesome. Cool. Thank you very much. I don't know if there was anything I missed or anything you feel is valuable for the community to know that I may not have covered, Nick, or we'll start with you.
Sure. I mean, I guess I wanted to. I mean, it's a question that always. One of Amanda's questions in the chat was about, how will this affect the land claim? How will this affect our rights? And, that's a question that often comes up, and, we understand why, for sure, because it's such an important, that's at the core of the community's identity and its history. But I guess sometimes, my lawyer brain prevents me from, from engaging with that as it should, because the fact is, it changes nothing, right? A land transaction that happens today cannot change the historical facts and the legal facts that create the rights of the Mohawks of Gunnesatake. So it's really not a concern. Um, and I'd be happy to kind of discuss that more if there are more kind of detailed questions about that. But if even if Ganasatake acquired this land straight out, it would not affect, it would not in any way be giving up any of its rights. So I just wanted to address that, and if people have kind of more detailed questions about that, I'd be happy to answer them. But otherwise, that was the only thing.
Awesome. Thank you. Oh, we got a hand up from communications. Please go ahead.
Yes. So there are a few of Amanda's questions that are related to engagement. So I can try to answer them, and then if either Nick or Chief Brent, you want to jump in at any point, just let me know. So first question is whether this is the final engagement session regarding the Pines file. So no, so this is the second to last engagement for this specific phase, which is the initial phase, but there will be more engagement opportunities because the goal is to establish regular communication to come up with a way forward that is community endorsed, basically. In terms of whether there'll be additional community consultation before any future direction is considered. So to my point, yes, absolutely. And the nature of community-led engagement is that it's flexible. And so the path forward can be modified and adjusted as feedback is received to make sure that it really fits the community's needs, whether it's more information, more time, and so on. And then there were several questions about data. So how many people completed the survey, attended each of the engagement sessions, virtual and in person, in terms of attendance numbers, and what is being done with the data collected. So in terms of the amount of people who completed the survey by itself, it's not really indicative of actual engagement because there's many more sources of input to consider. The survey is going to remain open for a while and it will evolve after that, but all other sources of input like emails, comments, chat questions like this, for example, social media comments, messages, in-person discussions, phone discussions, everything is monitored and compiled as we go. And then a report on the engagement is produced. So that will be in the coming weeks after the last engagement for this phase. And it will contain the relevant data on this. In terms of the reporting process, again, so that's going to be the draft report that is produced first for community review to confirm that everyone's thoughts are well captured. And then this report is adjusted and a finalized version is produced. Then there's questions about the strategic plan following the engagement process. So maybe I can kind of pass the ball there to Chief Brent. But what I'd say on my end is because the process is mainly community driven, it's also going to depend on the feedback collected.
Yeah, I missed that last little bit. What was the question?
Regarding the strategic plan following this engagement process. So I would take it to mean that after this specific kind of engagement phase here.
First steps first. Let's get through this part. I think I think we really do need to get that report in and everything for us to look at, and then take in all that information, see what it is the community wants, make sure there's nothing completely like the community is saying with a clear voice something that was completely not anticipated that makes us reconsider thing. I don't think so. Like it was sort of expected, most stuff and everything like that. But I think that making plans before that report is done is a little bit moot, or not moot. But we're gonna work with Eco Corridor Laurentian to see what they need next, what the next steps are with Eco Corridor Laurentian, Mr. Gonlin, and the government are for the ecological gift program. So that will start being developed. What do we actually do and everything to cross the T's and dot the I's. Um, Essentially, I mean, assuming it isn't like a hard no from the community. Yeah, I think you know, I think you know, seeing what actually needs to be done to achieve this and everything is the next steps. And yeah, all that the report and everything will inform that, whether it goes ahead, whether uh something has to be changed or considered or altered and everything in those steps and everything like that. That's essentially will be determined by that report. Um so I think also to piggyback on something Justine said, this is only the second to last meeting we're having on this. So we're already thinking, we've been discussing internally, and it was mentioned in the last meeting after recording stopped, that it would be kind of nice to do a walkthrough, a community walkthrough of the section of the Pines we're discussing. Um, I think the draft report is set to be ready by then. So what we're thinking, we don't have a firm date yet, but we're thinking, what's that? Okay, we're thinking we'll do maybe a presentation of the draft report and a little, talking and everything, maybe at the baseball field. People feel free to bring your lawn chairs and everything like that, powwow style. And myself or somebody else, probably me, will go through the document and everything. We'll make copies available of what the report is. I believe we'll discuss it, and then once everybody's satisfied, or we've been spinning our wheels for a sufficient amount of time, if that happens, we'll move it into a walk of the actual forest. Hopefully there's a lot of people there. Hopefully our partners at Eco Quarter Laurentian can join us, and we can actually take a look at and enjoy the area that we're also invested in protecting. Um, I think that'd be very nice. There's a very good idea from one of the participants at the last meeting. Excellent idea. So let's take advantage of it. It'll probably be rain or shine. Hopefully it's shine and not rain, but even then, with it raining in the pines and everything like that, you really smell the pine needles and the sap and all that stuff. It has its own charm and appeal, so it's not a bad thing. Um, yeah, actually, Sterling, if you want to mention that on RKR, that's coming up, that would be cool. Like I said, we don't have a date set yet. It'll be upcoming, but that'd be really nice to have you know, some airwave talk that join us for a walk through the pines. That'd be a great thing. Um, I think we have a couple of questions coming through. See what those are. Or SGM already. Oh, yeah. So communications will reach out to you once the date is booked. Amanda Simon, a walkthrough and public meeting about lands, reconciliation, ecological gifts, and Gunnastuga's territorial grievances being held on a baseball field still owned by the municipality of Oka creates a visual contradiction many people will immediately notice. Um, no, we've always asserted that the baseball field is ours. The municipality can assert all they want and everything like that. We know it's unceded Mohawk land, and if anybody wants to contend that, I won't say anything because I don't have anything nice to say about that. Yep. Okay, I think Sterling was saying something, or probably just responding to communications. We'll let this last question. Nick is legal. It is legally municipal, right? Or I guess, yeah. Amanda's asking a question to Nick directly.
I don't know. I mean, I'd have to know the lot numbers to check. I can't say off the top of my head, unfortunately.
Yeah. Yeah. I think it is. If I remember correctly and everything like that, seeing that, but you know, I grew up with people asserting that it's ours. We're the ones that take care of it. It's our community members that keep the grounds clean, that pay for and repair for the cages and all that stuff. That I've taken care for, and it was part of the Pines that was defended in the past. Just because the settler colonial state keeps insisting it's theirs doesn't mean we should take them at their word and just bend over for it. And I'll leave it at that because it's making me angry. Amy, stolen land will always be defended as being their own by people that stole it. Yep, exactly. That's the settler colonial structure. No point in defending it. Um, Okay, so I think that's about it. I'd like to take a moment to thank our partners from Eco Corridor Laurentian for taking their time to join us and make the presentation. Thank you very much. Amazing, amazing always. And then I'd also like to take a moment to thank our legal, Mr. Nicholas Dodd and Mary Alice Daou, for taking the time to answer questions for us and everything like that. Also amazing. And then I would like to take a moment to thank our communications, Justine. We really don't give her enough credit because a lot of the work we do here and everything really is wouldn't the caliber the quantity and the quality wouldn't be possible without all the hard work Justine puts in. So other than that, Yawankoa to everybody, thank you very much. Merci beaucoup. And I hope everybody has a very good night. Yeah, and I hope it's a sunny day for everybody wherever you are tomorrow. Thank you very much, and take care.
Thank you.
Thanks, everyone.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Thanks,
Bye.
everyone.
Good.